How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. It looks like there's a huge entity that is getting rid of some of their Bitcoin. They're selling what looks like about $600 million worth of Bitcoin, which could be part of the reason why we got a good CPI reading today, and yet Bitcoin is down on the day. I'll go through this along with one other thing that could be interesting for Bitcoin, along with some other crypto news. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on the bell notification underneath the video so you can see future videos just like this as soon as I make them. There's also going to be a link to Margex underneath the video in case you want to start trading cryptocurrency on leverage. You can do that down below with Margex, and you can get started in just a few seconds because you don't need a KYC and you don't need a VPN. You can start trading all different kinds of assets and making some nice gains pretty much right away. As long as you know what you're doing, you can search for leverage trading on my channel as well. Now, this morning we got CPI news. This is the lowest reading that we've seen in almost 3.5 years. Okay, so very good news came out, and yet Bitcoin's price hasn't done much. Actually, it fell, and we made a couple of videos earlier today talking about why this might be. But now we have some interesting news, and we'll get to some 13F filings here in a second. But a wallet linked to the U.S. government has transferred 10,000 Bitcoin, or about 591 million, to Coinbase Prime 11 minutes ago. Now, why would the U.S. government transfer over to Coinbase? Most likely to sell. There could be some other reasons for, of course. So anyone that's saying that they're just selling the 10,000 Bitcoin, maybe they're custodying it for them. There could be some other reason, but this does scare the market. Even if it's not selling, it's hard to tell exactly if it's selling, of course. But even if it's not selling, this freaks out the market because people think, well, if the government's going to sell $600 million worth of Bitcoin, I need to get out right away, right? I need to get out and then I can buy back in at 57,000 or 56,000. That's what people think. That's also a risky thing because maybe they're not actually selling it, right? Maybe they're just custodying it for them. Of course, Donald Trump has said recently that they're not going to sell any Bitcoin if he becomes president. They'll just hold on to the Bitcoin. But who knows what happens in the meantime, and even if he becomes president. Right now, Kamala is up in the polls, it looks like, or at least in the betting markets. So it'll be interesting to watch. I'm not sure we'll know what happens exactly to this Bitcoin, but obviously it is freaking out the market a bit. This is at the same time, though, that we have some other news like this. The World Health Organization declares monkeypox a global emergency. Apparently, there are about 14,000 cases of this with 450 deaths. This is mostly in Africa right now. It has spread throughout Africa to a couple different nations. But this is a little bit different than the 2022 monkeypox outbreak. That was just through essentially sexual contact. At least that's what they said in this article, or skin-to-skin contact. It looks like this can also be spread through breathing closely to another person. So yeah, they're declaring a national emergency or a World Health emergency. It looks like they're still months away from some kind of vaccine, but yeah, it is affecting people. This is at the same time. So we have those two big things that, people are probably worried about. Who knows, people get freaked out, especially after COVID, when there is some kind of new disease or something. But today should be a good day. Hopefully we'll learn more about who's buying the Bitcoin ETFs. We'll hear more about really well-known pensions and companies that have been buying the ETFs. Keep in mind that there haven't been as many inflows this quarter as the quarter before, but as we can see here, the State of Wisconsin Investment Board invests in the BlackRock ETF, and it's grown to nearly $100 million with an increase of 447,000 shares since the last filing. So it has increased. I believe iBit's right around $30 per share. So it looks like they increased about $15 million or so, maybe a little bit more or less in their last quarter. So they are dollar cost averaging, which is nice to see. We also will have more 13F filings coming out throughout the day and more people paying attention to them. This shows you why you want some Bitcoin and why nations probably want some Bitcoin and why people want Bitcoin. Iran Central Bank and other banks were hit with major cyber attacks, disrupting the country's banking system. Iran needs Bitcoin, Bitcoin Magazine says. So yeah, obviously it would be nice from an individual standpoint to have some Bitcoin in times like this, especially if you're like a company, so that way you can pay your employees. There isn't as much disruption there. And obviously that will probably come down the road. I mean, we talked about this when Silicon Valley Bank was going through bankruptcy, or like everything was being frozen from them, how a lot of people had payrolls and they couldn't pay, and there could be like shock waves because of this. But if everyone has a Bitcoin wallet and the company holds some Bitcoin, they can still pay people on time, and then those people can go maybe sell the Bitcoin through Coinbase or something, or through whatever exchange they want, and then they can put it into their bank accounts, especially if they're not at the bank that is going down. So that could be really beneficial to a lot of people. It could also be beneficial to countries. It could be beneficial to companies as well. Bitcoin just helps in so many different ways. Take a look at this too. After a slow approval process from the SEC, SMLR, which is Semler Scientific, they got their S3 effective. They now have the approval to use the $50 million at the money offering and $150 million shelf offering to go buy Bitcoin. We don't know exactly when they'll buy, but Ben Workman says, I'm not expecting them to wait long on this one. I would expect them to buy pretty quickly as well. I don't see too many stocks that say, hey, let's just hold off on buying Bitcoin. Even though we got approval, let's just hold off. No, I mean, most of them buy pretty quickly. They want to buy because, I mean, they're making a couple percent, right, on the money sitting in treasuries, but they could miss out on a 5% move in a day, right? They could easily miss out on a big move up from Bitcoin, and obviously they don't want to do that. They just typically buy pretty heavily, pretty quickly, especially when you have a couple $100 million. It's not like some other companies that would have to buy like a couple billion right away, and that would send up the price. Now you could buy $200 million pretty easily, I think. Let me know your thoughts on all this underneath the video, though. Let me know what you think about the US continuously sending Bitcoin to Coinbase and them continuously selling over the last few years. Seems like a very short-term play from them. And I will continue to give you updates on the 13F filings. There should be more coming out throughout the day, more people noticing this company or that company bought Bitcoin ETFs. And yeah, soon we will have more news as well. Just in the broader markets, we will have the Fed cutting rates in a month. So it is a good time, I think, to be invested in Bitcoin. This is the boring time where we've shed 20% off the high, and now people just aren't paying attention. But you're paying attention. You're watching this video. You're staying informed. I'm staying informed. We are going to win out this bull run. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. If you want to check out the link to Margex, you can check it out underneath the video. We'll see you soon.